For Angelina Jordan, that evolution may come through original music. Up to this point, many people know her through her interpretations of classic songs. Her ability to take familiar music and make it feel new. But the next step is something deeper. Creating music that belongs entirely to her. Because when an artist begins telling their own story through original songs, everything changes. The emotion becomes more personal. The connection becomes stronger. The identity becomes clearer. And if Angelina Jordan brings the same level of sincerity and emotional depth into her own music, the result could be something extraordinary. Another important part of her future will be collaboration. In the music industry, collaborations often shape the direction of an artist's sound. Working with the right producers, songwriters, and musicians can open new creative doors. And considering her connection to figures like Quincy Jones, the potential for meaningful collaborations is significant. Because artists who understand her style will not try to change her. They will help amplify what already makes her unique. And that is critical. Because the biggest risk for any artist with a distinctive voice is losing it in the process of trying to appeal to everyone. But if she maintains control over her artistic direction, if she continues choosing quality over speed, if she protects the emotional core of her music, then her evolution will not feel like a change. It will feel like growth. And growth is what turns potential into legacy. There is also something else to consider. Time. Time is often the greatest test of any artist. Not how quickly they rise, but how long they remain meaningful. Many voices capture attention for a moment. Very few remain relevant for years. And even fewer become timeless. But timelessness does not come from popularity alone. It comes from emotional connection. From music that continues to resonate, even as the world changes. This is why artists like Billie Holiday and Frank Sinatra are still remembered today. Their music was not tied to a single trend. It was tied to human emotion. And that is the same foundation Angelina Jordan is building on. Which means her future is not limited to a specific era. It can extend across generations. But reaching that level requires patience. It requires discipline. And it requires staying true to the very thing that made people listen in the first place. The voice. The emotion. The honesty. As long as those elements remain at the center of her music, the possibilities remain open. And that brings us back to the question that started this story. Will Angelina Jordan become one of the greatest voices in music history? The answer is still unfolding. Because greatness is not something you declare. It is something you build. Performance by performance. Song by song. Year by year. And right now, she is still in the process. Still growing. Still evolving. Still writing her story. Which means the most important chapter has not happened yet. And when it does, it may not arrive with noise or hype. It may arrive quietly. A new song. A defining performance. A moment where everything aligns. And suddenly, the world will realize something. That the voice they first heard years ago was only the beginning. Because sometimes, the most powerful journeys are the ones that take time. And for Angelina Jordan, time may be her greatest advantage. And as that advantage of time continues to work in her favor, there is one final layer to this story that many people don't fully understand yet. It is not just about what Angelina Jordan will do. It is about what the world will do with her voice. Because history has shown something very interesting about artists who carry a rare kind of authenticity. They are not always fully understood at the beginning. Sometimes, it takes years for people to truly recognize what they are hearing. When Angelina Jordan first stepped onto the stage of Norway's Got Talent, the reaction was immediate. Shock. Amazement. Curiosity. But at that moment, most people were reacting to the surprise. A young girl with a voice that felt far older than her age. Now, years later, the reaction is changing. It is becoming deeper. more reflective, more intentional. People are no longer just asking, "How is this possible?" They are beginning to ask something else. What does this mean? Because when a voice consistently creates emotional reactions across different stages of life, it stops being just talent. It becomes something more. Something rare. Something that cannot be easily explained. And this is where her story begins to move beyond the category of a typical artist. Because not every singer becomes a reference point. But some do. A reference point is an artist that people use to measure others. A voice that becomes part of the standard. A sound that influences how future singers approach music. Artists like Ella Fitzgerald and Billie Holiday did not just succeed in their time. They shaped the language of music itself. And while it may seem early to place Angelina Jordan in that category, the early signs are there. Not in the numbers. Not in the headlines. But in the reactions. The way people respond when they hear her voice. The way they pause. The way they listen. The way they remember. These are the same patterns that appear around artists who eventually leave a lasting impact. Another important element of her future is something that cannot be taught. Restraint. In an industry where artists are often encouraged to do more, be louder, release more content, and stay constantly visible, restraint becomes a powerful tool. And Angelina Jordan has already shown signs of that restraint. She does not overperform. She does not overshare. She does not overexpose herself. And because of that, every appearance feels more meaningful. Every performance feels intentional. Every moment feels like it matters. This approach creates anticipation. And anticipation creates value. Because when something is not constantly available, people pay more attention when it appears. This is one of the oldest principles in art. And one of the most effective. But beyond strategy, beyond career decisions, beyond industry positioning, there is still something much simpler at the center of this story. The voice. No matter how much the world changes, no matter how the industry evolves, one thing remains constant. People respond to emotion. And when a voice carries real emotion, it creates connection. That connection is what transforms listeners into fans. Fans into supporters. Supporters into a lasting audience. And that audience becomes the foundation of everything that follows. As long as Angelina Jordan continues to protect that connection, her future remains open. Because at the highest level of music, success is no longer about visibility. It is about meaning. And meaning is what lasts. So maybe the question was never just about whether she will become one of the greatest voices in music history. Maybe the real question is this. Will she continue choosing the path that leads there? The path of patience. The path of authenticity. The path of emotional truth. Because if she does, then everything else will follow. Not instantly. Not loudly. But steadily. And one day, without needing to announce it, without needing to prove it, without needing to compete for it, the answer will become clear. That the voice the world once discovered as a surprise has quietly become something much greater. Not just a talent. Not just a career. But a legacy. And when that moment arrives, people may look back at everything they have heard so far and realize something simple. They were not just listening to a young singer. They were listening to the beginning of history. And also, if you enjoy this video, please subscribe and comment for more videos, and please share the video. Thanks for watching. See you in another next video. Peace out.